What is up, YouTube? Running Gun Sports Podcast back here with another NFL video. I'm your co host, Elliot, and with me is your co host, Ellis. Today we are going to be going over the Indianapolis Colts 2021 offseason review. We're going to be talking about what they need to do in the offseason, how they need to draft, and we're also going to be going over what happened last season and the moves that have already been made in this offseason. So before we get into today's video, if you'd like to support the channel, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications if you want to hear more. We post weekly. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Run and Gun Sports. And yeah, let's get into it.
So yeah, in 2020, the Colts went 11-5, lost the playoff game barely to the Buffalo Bills, and they competed with the Bills, not as likely as expected, honestly. I think a lot of people thought that that game wouldn't be as close as it was. The Bills did struggle quite a bit, but the Colts had a very good shot of coming back. Some weird calls at the end of the game, just kind of a weird game in general, not as high scoring as we expected it. We kind of expected the Bills to maybe keep it close in the first half and for them to win by a lot and score a lot in the second quarter or half, or excuse me, second half. And I think that they gave the Bills a good run for the money, which is not bad at all. The Bills is a team that you want to be competing with because they were just short of the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Chiefs did blow them out by a lot in the Super Bowl, but the Bills have a good team. They just need to figure it out. I don't know what the missing piece for them is, but right now we're talking about the Colts, and I think it's kind of hard for Philip Rivers to be playing with such young guys. All those guys are very young in their young 20s, mid 20s, and he's obviously the veteran of that team, he's the leader of that team, and he doesn't fit that type of category as far as I mean, he has T.Y. Hilton, and that's just probably about as close as age as a guy you'll get on that team. And I think that that might have been what kept them from going so far. Obviously, they did trade for Carson Wentz. They did not give up much for him. So even if Carson Wentz does not pan out in Indianapolis, that trade is a win for them. They only give up a third and second round pick for a quarterback. And Carson Wentz and Jared Goff came into the same draft class out of college, and a lot of people thinking that they're bust. A lot of them look at them now and think that they shouldn't even be starting. And you have to look at it is the fact of the matter is that they led their team to a Super Bowl. They did not win, obviously, and Jared Goff kept his team in within a game or within a score of winning the Super Bowl. So you have to look at that in a certain way. And they were both pretty young in their career. Carson Wentz did get injured, so there's a bit of an asterisk beside that. But still, I think that there's potential in Carson Wentz, and I don't think Philadelphia was the right place for him. I just think when he took them to that Super Bowl, they won the Super Bowl, that the expectations just skyrocketed and just too much for him.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think he was the type of quarterback that is good for Philadelphia. They have a very interesting fan base. They need like a perfect quarterback that actually fits Philadelphia, like Michael Vick. But, of course, we all know what happened there. But Indianapolis had the number one defense last year. I think that was in part of picking up DeForest Buckner. Buckner, he was an excellent defensive end. I mean, the Colts had the number one ranked defense. That's probably why they went 11-5. Offense wasn't amazing because Philip Rivers extremely old, and like you were saying, Carson Wentz coming in. I think that's going to be a very big impact to this team. It's filled with a lot of young players on the defensive side and mainly on the offensive side. You got Michael Pittman and the two young running backs, Akeem Hines, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, yeah, that running game was really solid. But 2021 is going to be interesting. I think Carson Wentz is going to do very well next year. He actually has some decent wide receivers and a decent offensive line and good wide receivers. Not like in Philly, their offensive line was not good last year. He had no good receivers. Running back was okay. Miles Sanders pretty good, but yeah, he did not have a lot of help. The Phillies defense was okay. Didn't really do a lot for him, and yeah, I think he's gonna do a lot better. I feel like he's gonna perform for the Colts. They're probably gonna make the playoffs. They might even win their divisions if the Titans defense cannot get better. But my prediction for them is going 11-5 this year. I think the Titans are going to do pretty well in the offseason this year. They'll probably get the number one spot in the AFC South again. I got 11-5 Titan Colts making a wild card spot. What about you?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. DeForest Buckner, huge get. He's young. He didn't really fit in with that 49ers defense. He needs to be the star of the front of a defense. And in Indianapolis, that's him. Him, Darius Leonard, number one linebacking core in the NFL, and DeForest Buckner leading that front line. And he's at where he needs to be, and he's at the peak of his performance. He's in his prime right now, and he hasn't even been there in Indianapolis for a full year. And I really do think that the Colts will give the Titans a run for their money in the division. I honestly think that it'll come down to a division game where they face each other. Whoever wins might win the division and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But the defense was so strong last year. It's the only reason they made it in. I mean, their defense, they beat the Packers. The Packers had made such a great offense. The only defense that we really saw that could stop the Packers were the Buccaneers, and obviously the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, and that was one of the greatest defenses in the NFL last year as well. But I think that the Colts are going to be really good next year. They were just kind of like a mediocre team, above average. Obviously, they made the playoffs, but I think you look at all these young guys, and you give these guys 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 and 5. I think they'll be contending for a Super Bowl. I think they'll make a Super Bowl in the next 5 years or so. If Carson Wentz can play good, I don't see them having a problem winning 10 games at all. And if he's playing very well, like he was in Philadelphia before he got injured versus the Rams before in the Super Bowl, I think that they could honestly win their division without a problem. The Titans have to figure something out. We'll be talking about the Titans next week, but I just think that the Colts have a very bright future with the new head coach Frank Reich, and I believe
Yeah,
in the Colts will break out next year.
yeah. This is like we were saying earlier. This is an extremely young team. Wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr. Rookie last year, and he's got major potential to be a star. I mean, just watching his tape last year, you can tell that he's going to be a very good wide receiver for the Colts in the future. And of course, they've got T.Y. Hilton. I mean, he didn't really stand out last season, but he's still a great wide receiver. And then they've got the running backs. And if Carson Wentz can perform, this offense is going to be really good. And then you have that amazing defense. So, and a pretty young defense too. So, I mean, the sky's the limit for this team's future. So, we'll see where that goes. But
Yeah,
for that's going to wrap up today's video. If you'd like to drop a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, follow us on our social media, and have a great day. Thanks for watching.